Hey guys, what's happening? All right, this is Never Not God, today I want to share with you a strategy called Eye of God, modified version or simple version. I believe most of you have come across the strategy on YouTube, and a lot of you guys I think are wondering how do I even use this strategy to make it work for me. So I'm going to be sharing with you tips. I think you've come across multiple videos by different people on YouTube, just telling you how it works and whatnot. I think you have noticed that on my main chart I've got 3 indicators, and then here I've got mainly 2 indicators, 2 or 3. The RSIs are playing the role of marking my levels for me from 0, 10, 20, 45, 50, 55, 80, 90 up to 100, and as well as the other indicator. So without further ado, I just wanted to say to you, this indicator is perfect for spotting what are called peaks or trend reversals. This is a perfect strategy, a perfect indicator to spot trend reversals. And the way to use it is very, very simple. For example, if we look here on Boom 500, where it formed a W here, the way you use it is very simple. Here would have been where your entry is, right there, on the second leg of W. So the question may be, how would I have known that this is where my entry is? The first thing, the indicator gave you right here. Because how you use it is very simple. You just have to wait for the green line. Your main focus is the green line. The moment it reaches oversold, then you know that you are preparing to buy. So here when the eye forms, when the red and the green cross and the eye forms here, you know that the buyers are coming, the sellers are getting exhausted real quick. And so you wait for your green line to reach the oversold condition between levels 10 and 20, and then you place your trade here. Here you would have placed your trade right here. Right, but you don't just buy just because it has reached this particular condition. You have to wait for your M's and your W's. This strategy that I've got is very simple. Why? Because when the eye finishes forming here, when the red crosses the green, you know that the trend is about to reverse. So there are 2 ways mainly to use this kind of indicator, right? First is the unzoomed version. Let me remove all the markings and the objects that I've placed. For example, let me mark where the indicator has shown trend reversals. For example, we have got here, right? And then on the indicator that is here. So you see here it was overbought, it was in the oversold region, right? So this is would have been a nice place to take a sell, but you don't just take a sell. Like I told you before, you wait for your M's, you wait for your W's. And the reason or the purpose why we have got the 3 indicators on the screen is because it's mainly safe to sell or to buy when the price is above or below these 3 indicators, right? We'll talk about the settings much later on. So here you would have had your peak entry. So what you're focusing on here on the indicator is just a green line. It reaching oversold and it reaching overbought. Usually when the green line is overbought, the red line is oversold. So this is where you know that this is where my trend reverse is going to be occurring. So the first way to use it is the unzoomed chart, when you zoom out to the last version. So here, for example, if we were to take this arrow right here and place it here, and then you take this one and you place it here, you'd know for certain that here, when the green line reached overbought condition, is also where the peak was formed or the reversal, trend reversal occurred, right? And then so yeah, you take your entry, but you don't just take an entry, you wait for the price to drop below the 3 indicators, then you take your sell, and your stop loss can be placed above your M or your W's. So also, for example, if you bring it here, you've got where you could have taken your buy right there. Okay, right there. This is when your green line reaches oversold condition as well as your price. So like I was telling you, that time. You wait for your M's, you wait for W's. So here your price presented a nice W pattern, with the second leg being less extreme, and price broke above the indicators. So you know for certain that this was a buy, and you place a stop loss below here. So the unzoomed version is very simple. So it works like this, and then you also realize this. Sorry guys, give me a second, I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that guys. So like what I was saying, the reason why this is on the 6th of December 2020, the reason why Boom 500 is actually selling is simply because here it's showing a trend reversal. At the same time, the indicator right there has given you an overbought condition in the 80 to 90 region. So you know that you are selling from here, but you don't just sell from right the peak. You wait for your M formation, like here you formed an MW, then you wait for price to break below the indicator, then you would have sold and put your stop loss above there. So you know for certain that it works with, you know, virtually any pair. Personally for me, I use it for volatility indices because they are much faster moving in terms of price, and so yeah, you know, they are much more delicious in terms of they pay you faster. Right, so the unzoomed version, because the zoomed version now, what happens is when you try to zoom in, there are some false peaks that are made. For example, this one, you see a person entering a buy here, you would have gotten your stop loss hit. Right, so the unzoomed version is much safer, because even if you move your screen from the left to the right, if the peak is truly formed, like in this particular case, if the peak is truly formed, even if you move it to the right or the left, you know, this indicator still remains overbought or oversold. This would have been a brilliant peak entry. Yeah, but you don't just enter in above there. What you do is you wait for price, you know, to make your M or W8. It created an M formation, and then here it broke below price. This is where it was overbought. So you'd have taken your sell here and placed your stop loss above there. So it works for swinging on any time frame. It can show you the peak on any time frame. Here, it's a simple thing. It's very easy even to catch spikes with it. Why? Because you're only focusing on the indicator, you're only focusing on the green part. At the moment it reaches this zone, you know, on level 80 to 90 or level 10 to 20, you know that it's a sell or it's a buy. But you use it when you are zoomed out like that. As for me, I keep my screen in the middle. I don't like to push it too far here. I don't like to push it too far here. I like keeping it right in the middle, and I don't move it when I'm taking my entries. I just keep it there. So you know that you've got your entry when price broke below, right there, when broke below 3 indicators on the screen. So some of the people have been wondering how to use the eye of God strategy to make profits. It's the same thing here. So you can even use it to catch spikes if you manage to take your pick very well. For example, here, even if I kept my screen in the middle, here you would have formed a W here. My entry was just after the first spike had broken above this indicator. I would have placed my trade here, and then you scalp buy. Take profits, it's up to you depending on your risk to reward ratio, but I advise you guys not to be greedy. So it works even on volatilities that are not boom and crash 1000. For example, let's have a look at volatility 75 1s. Here it is showing that here it created a peak. Yeah, so even if you move it around, it's supposed to remain at a peak. So this is the first way to use it, like I showed the unzoomed version. Then you've got the zoomed version whereby you can actually zoom in. You can zoom into the last version, or you can zoom into the third from last. It's up to you. But generally what happens is when you are scalping, the 1 minute time frame is alone by itself. Yet when you're swinging, for example, if you're to switch to H1, it's mainly useful, like in this case, to identify the trend direction. So this is perfect for volatilities, for currencies, for indices, whatever you want to trade with it. But you just have to know that the green line has to be oversold or overbought, and then you've got your trend reversal here. So what happens, for example, when you have a peak formation like this, you don't enter on a higher time frame unless you've got the equity to support. You can draw down to a much smaller time frame, for example, like the M15 time frame. It also most of the time would have formed a peak, like here in this particular case. Here the indicator is oversold. It's overbought, sorry, and you'd have taken your sell. So even if you are scalping, it's usually safer to scalp in the direction of 3 time frames that are consecutive. For example, here you've got the M15, which is selling. You can switch to M5. Instead of taking buys here, you take your sells here. So even if you zoom in, you know that these are my sells because the green indicator is in the overbought region, so you can continue your sell. Even when it pulls back, you know that my sell is continuing. So when you go to M1, it's usually not wise to sell when M15 and M5 3 consecutive time frames are going in the opposite direction. And as for the zoomed version, like I'm telling you, if you zoom it like this, you just have to wait for the green indicator to reach this level or this level, then you wait for the price to break below, then you take your trade and then you go. So guys, risk management is most important, but if you are interested in knowing more about the strategy, mainly the settings that I'm using, is very simple. You can hit me up. I'll attach my Telegram handle in the description below, and you can contact me for the settings. They're very cheap in terms of price. It's not even that much expensive. So yeah, just hit me up, like, comment, subscribe, whatever. It's up to you, but I just thought I should share this with you. Alright guys, cheers.